Alexia from the Real Housewives of Miami. She is now getting a divorce. Her husband, Todd, of 3 years, filed for divorce in Miami. Is Florida law different when it comes to filing for divorces? They've only been married for 3 years. They said that finances might have had something to do with their split. So what's kind of like the next steps? Because she said she was totally shocked by this. So what's kind of the beginning proceedings of a divorce in the state of Florida?
It's surprising news for Alexia and for us. And really, each state's laws matter. We've talked about community property states like California. A lot of celebrities live here. There's a presumption that everything is part of the community and it's going to be split 50-50. Not the case in Florida. Florida, the presumption is that everything's held by a spouse individually, is separate property. That means it's their own. In the event of a divorce, they get to keep it. So really, we got to get into the assets. Were they held jointly together? Were they held separately? And that's going to decide what Alexia gets and what her husband gets.
Interesting. I know that I believe that they rent their property in Florida. How does something like that work if it's not owned?
Yeah, so if it's a rental, then obviously the home isn't going to be split or sold or anything like that. If they're both on the lease, then they're both on the lease regardless of whether they're married or not. So they're still on the hook for the term of the lease, whether it's a year or some other term. And then, when it comes to the other assets, if they have cars, if they have bank accounts, you got to do that accounting to see, and it's really called tracing. What is the source of the funds? Is it my separate property that's going to an account, in which case the money comes to me in the event of a divorce? Is it my separate property, but I decide to commingle it or I decide to gift it to my spouse such that it ends up being shared? So these are all the questions that family law judges have to answer when it comes to dividing property during a divorce.